Good everyone, my name is Graphics. If you look at the front of your screen, you see a given problem in combination where we are told to simplify n plus 1 factorial all divided by r factorial multiplied by into bracket n minus r plus 1 factorial plus n plus 1 factorial all divided by r minus 1 factorial multiplied by n minus r plus 2 factorial. So we're told to simplify this. Now, the first thing you do is that if you look at the two parts of this question, that is the left-hand side of the positive sign and the right-hand side of positive sign, there's something we have in common, and that is n plus 1 factorial, right? So I'm going to factorize it by bringing it out. So when I bring it out, I'll be having n plus 1 factorial, open bracket, 1 all divided by r factorial multiplied by n minus r plus 1 factorial plus 1 all over r minus 1 factorial multiplied by n minus r plus 2 factorial, right? So this is what we have when you brought out this particular n plus 1 factorial out. Now the next thing we'll do is that if you look at the two sides of the positive sign, I have r factorial at the left hand side, but I only have r minus 1 factorial in the right hand side, right? So I want to make this r minus 1 factorial to conform or to be the same as r factorial. So what will I do? Now look at this. I am going to introduce r at the numerator and also introduce r at the denominator, because by the time you divide r by r, you still be having 1. So I've done nothing. I only introduced this. What I did up, I did the same thing down also. Now this will now give me r into bracket r minus 1 factorial. You can see that this is what we have here. Having in our mind that our r factorial is the same thing as saying r into bracket r minus 1 factorial. Do you get the logic? Because when you say your n factorial is equals to what? N into bracket n minus 1 factorial, definitely r factorial is the same thing as saying r into bracket r minus 1 factorial. So anywhere I see r into bracket r minus 1 factorial, I'm going to replace it with what? R factorial. So if I do that, my new expression will now be n plus 1 factorial, open bracket, 1 divided by r factorial multiplied by n minus r plus 1 factorial plus r all divided by, instead of me writing that, I'll now put what? R factorial to replace my r into bracket r minus 1 factorial. So multiply by n minus r plus 2 factorial. This is what we have here. Is that okay? Now if you look at the left hand side of the positive sign and the right hand side of the positive sign, there is one thing in common, and that is what? R factorial. So I'm going to bring out r factorial. Remember, it is below, it is at the denominator, right? So if I'm putting it out, it will be under n plus 1 factorial, right? So we'll be having the r factorial here. So we're having n plus 1 factorial divided by r factorial. You'll be left with 1 all over n minus r plus 1 factorial plus r all divided by n minus r plus 2 factorial. Now if you look at this very well. Now, if you look at the left hand side of the positive sign, we have n minus r plus 1 factorial. And if you look at the right hand side of the positive sign, we have n minus r plus 2 factorial. Now they are not related in any way, but you need to make them, since we are trying to simplify this, you need to make them have something in common. Having in your mind that if you have n minus r plus 2 factorial, it will give us n minus r plus 2 multiplied by n minus r plus 2 minus 1 factorial. And you'll be wondering, how did I come about that? Now let's look at this. If I have 5 factorial, isn't it as saying 5 times what? 4 factorial, right? If I have 5 factorial, isn't it as saying what? 5 times 4 factorial. What do you think has really happened here? It means that I have subtract 1 from every point. That means I can write it this way by saying my 5 factorial is equals to what? 5 times 5 minus 1, which will still also give me 5 times 4 factorial. Are we together now? Or we can take this for instance. If I have my 5 factorial, then I'm saying 5 times 4 times 3 factorial. Is that taken now? Whenever I stop, I'll stop at the given factorial there. So if I now want to rewrite this, essentially I'm saying 5 factorial is equals to what? 5 times 5 minus 1. This one will become what? 5 times 5 minus 1 minus 1. Are you with me now? You continue that way again. You can go again. 5 times 5 minus 1 minus 1 minus 1. So if you are doing that, this will now give me, my 5 factorial will now give me 5 times 5 minus 1 times 5 minus 2 times 5 minus 3 factorial, right? Because minus 1 is minus 2. Minus 1 minus 1 minus 1 is minus 3. So what I'm making you understand now is that as you are going down, you are subtracting 1 at every given stage. That is why when you see 5 factorial, it's the same as 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. That means at every point, you subtracting 1. For the first one that gave us 4, you subtract 1 once. For the second one that gave us 3, you subtract 1 twice. For the third one that gave us 2, you subtract 1 thrice. And for the fourth one that gave us 1, you subtract 1 4 times. That is what it does mean. So that is what I'm trying to explain to you. So that's why we have this. So if I now make this down to, if I now simplify this further, I will now be having n minus r plus 2 multiplied by n minus r plus 1, because 2 minus 1 is 1. So with my, I have my factorial. So this is what I will now replace with n minus r plus 2 factorial. So if I now come down here, I'll now rewrite the equation, the particular problem there, by saying n plus 1 factorial divided by r factorial, open bracket, 1 divided by n minus r plus 1 factorial, plus r all over. So I will not write my n minus r plus 2 factorial anymore. I'll now replace it with this one I have here, which is n minus r plus 2, close the bracket, multiplied by n minus r plus 1 factorial. You can see that? So it is the same thing. Now if you now look at the left hand side of the positive sign and at the right hand of the positive sign, inside the bracket, we have one thing in common, and that is n minus r plus 1 factorial. So I'm going to bring it out. So if I bring it out, I'll now be having n plus 1 factorial all divided by n minus r plus 1 factorial, r factorial, open brackets, I'll be left with 1 over 1 plus r over n minus r plus 2, because I've brought the n minus r plus 1 factorial out. That's what we call factorization. So the only time you can bring it out is when they are common in both sides of the sign, or you can take it out. We know we'll be having n plus 1 factorial divided by n minus r plus 1 factorial, r factorial, open bracket, then you look for the LCM. So the LCM of 1 and n minus r plus 2 is n minus r plus 2. So cross multiply. N minus r plus 2 times 1 will give you n minus r plus 2, and 1 times r will give you r. So this is what we have here. Are we together? So we move forward. Now if you look at this very well, we will now discover that minus arrow will equate arrow. Positive arrow, right? Minus arrow equate what? Positive arrow. So we'll now be left with n plus 2 all over n minus arrow plus 2. This is what we have in here, right? So if I should rewrite this here, I am going to be having, if I open the bracket now, I'll multiply n plus 2 times n plus 1 factorial divided by, I'll multiply n minus r plus 2 times n minus r plus 1 factorial, right? And I still have my factorial there. This is what we have when you open the bracket. Now, let me take you down the memory lane. We know in our mind, right? If I have n plus 2 factorial, like I told you earlier, it will be n plus 2 multiplied by n plus 2 minus 1 factorial. I told you as you go every different stage, you subtract 1. The first one you subtract 0, the second one you subtract 1, the third one you subtract 1 twice, the fourth one you subtract 1 3 times, just that way. Now if you look at this closely, I'll now be left with n plus 2 multiplied by n plus 1 factorial, because 2 minus 1 is what? 1. So if you look at that, this is what we have. So anytime you see n plus 2 factorial, essentially you are saying n plus 2 times n plus 1 factorial. Similarly, if I have my n minus r plus 2 factorial, the same thing by saying n minus r plus 2 multiplied by n minus r plus 2 minus 1 factorial, right? Now, this will now be left with n minus r plus 2 multiplied by n minus r plus 1 factorial, because 2 minus 1 is 1. So anytime I see n minus r plus 2 factorial, right, I'm going to replace it with n minus r plus 2 times n minus r plus 1 factorial. Is that okay now? So if I now want to rewrite this particular expression here, I'll be having n plus 2 factorial. That is, I've replaced my n plus 2 multiplied by n plus 1 factorial with n plus 2 factorial, as I explained here, divided by, now I'll now replace my n minus r plus 2 multiplied by n minus r plus 1 factorial. I'll replace it by what? N minus r plus 2 factorial. And I have my r factorial close to it, right? And we know very well now, this can be translated to be n plus 2 combination r. That's what we'll be having. N plus 2 combination r, because if you apply it on this given value here, if you want to translate this n plus 2 combination r, essentially are saying n plus 2 factorial all divided by n plus 2, right, minus r factorial, and when you rearrange it, you're going to be having n plus 2 factorial divided by n minus r plus 2 factorial, r factorial. Is that okay now? So I just rearrange what I have inside there. So this is how you can simplify the given expression to give us this particular expression. Are we together now? So if this resonates with you and you find it useful and helpful, please don't forget to like this video and don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Thanks for watching.